Well, hey, good morning, everybody. This is Meryl Fury. I am so thrilled to have you. We are here for day 3 of the 2024 6 Million Seeds Child Nutrition Summit. I guess I should introduce myself. I am president and CEO of Plant-Based Nutrition Movement, which is 501c3. And our total joy and jam every day is working with children to improve their nutrition, what they eat, how they view food, what they think of as food, what they get from food. So this nutrition summit is all about that. It's also about making sure that the adults in the room understand what children need and how children can do better, just plain do better. If we eat more fruits and vegetables, whole grains, nuts, seeds, legumes, and of course, mushrooms. This week, for these 4 days, we've been talking about education. We started out with that. Yesterday, we talked about food as medicine. And today, you can't tell by my t-shirt, I'm sure, but today we're talking about the environment. So I fully believe if we eat plants, we could save the world. All right. One thing I wanted to say too, I need to thank our sponsors, Sage Circle Alliance. Thank you very much. And Vegan Visibility Productions, our behind the scenes producer who is working all kinds of magic with the screens and the titles and everything that's going on behind the scenes to make this summit a reality is Vegan Visibility Productions. We want to thank them for all their work. We will get started today with our first guest, Ava Stubbe. Let me read her bio. Ava Stubbe is a high school sophomore in Omaha, Nebraska. Now, when you think of Omaha, most of us think of Omaha steaks, I think, right? So she's in the heart of beef country out there. She creates plant-based cooking and nutrition demonstrations, however. So she is outstanding in her own field, literally, right? She is on the So Many Kids in the Kitchen show, which airs, I think it's every other month, and she can straighten me out if that's not accurate, on YouTube and on Facebook, where she gets together with a handful of her young friends and they create recipes, they cook, they demonstrate on screen live. It's a lot of fun, great show. It started in 2020. She is passionate about sharing education on how being plant-based is best for the health of people, the animals, and the planet. So let's bring Ava on and she can get started.
Hi, everyone.
Hi,
Thank
Ava.
you so much for having me.
Oh, we're so glad to have you here. This is wonderful. Thank you so much. So I am going to step off screen and you take it away. If anything comes up, we might get questions or something in the chat, which we can address later. I don't want to interrupt the flow of what you're saying. And with that, I'll hand it over to you.
I got to get one of those shirts. You got to let me know where you got your shirt. I need one of those.
I had it made. I'll send it to you.
All right. Let me just get my presentation pulled up real quick. Okay. Slideshow. And it is loading, as usual. Okay. Here we go. All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm just really grateful to have the opportunity to speak with you today. Climate change is one of the most urgent issues of our time. It is a challenge that transcends borders, cultures, and generations, and one that requires collective action. So today I'll discuss the causes of climate change, its far-reaching effects, and most importantly, the solutions that can guide us towards a sustainable and hopeful future. First, we'll start with a little bit of my background. So I've been cooking for most of my life. I'm assuming I started around ages 4 or 5, but honestly, I don't know if I've ever been out of the kitchen. I love cooking. I love cooking with my family, as you can probably see from these pictures, and even cooking with my friends. My lovely friend Anu is in this bottom left picture here. She came to stay with us one time, and then we filmed our So Many Kids show together. I'm actually a part of the So Many Kids in the Kitchen, so we have our bi-monthly cooking show, or every other month cooking shows. And our next one will actually be sometime in the next few months. I'll talk more about that later, but I'm really excited. I was mostly cooking non-vegan foods until about 6 years ago, and that was when, next slide, my mother transitioned to being vegan. She took our whole family with us, so she started cooking vegan foods, and I wanted to keep cooking with her because I love my mom and I love cooking with my mom. It's one of our favorite things to do together. So then I started cooking and eating vegan foods all the time. And then we just kept doing that. So eventually I started making my own vegan recipes, since sometimes it's hard to find ones that, one, children can cook, because I've been pretty young for a majority of my cooking career, and two, just healthy, fun, easy vegan recipes for everyone. Here's our So Many Kids in the Kitchen. That was our last show, I believe, Summer Drinks in August. And then our next one should be sometime in the next few months. We'll be showing some of our favorite holiday recipes from the past few holiday shows. And I'm really excited. Hopefully you all can come see it. And then, So Many Kids in the Kitchen is made up of a couple children of Food for Life instructors. So it's me, my two sisters, Ella and Nora, and then our friend Anu, whose dad is also a Food for Life instructor. He's speaking today as well, and so is she. And then our friends Mia and Max, and their mom, Ella, is also a Food for Life instructor. So we all just get together every other month. Then we do some cooking together. We make healthy, fun, vegan recipes. I've also had recipes published in the book Food is Climate, my tomato soup recipe, and my peanut butter coleslaw recipe. I love reading this book. This is one of my favorite climate change books that relates to like whole food plant-based eating. And if you haven't read it, I would really recommend it. So as far as my background, currently I'm a part of the competitive speech and debate team at my high school. And this has helped a lot with not only my public speaking skills, but also just a fun way to make friends and have fun on the weekends. So I usually do a lot of interpretation events for speech. And then I do Lincoln Douglas debate, which is a one-on-one style of competitive debate. I have an NSDA degree of distinction for speaking. Next, we'll move on to talking about climate change. Climate change refers to long-time shifts in temperature and weather patterns. These shifts could be natural, but since the 1800s, human activities have been the main driver of climate change, primarily due to the burning of fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas, which produces heat-trapping gases. At the heart of climate change lies the disruption of the Earth's natural systems, driven primarily by human activity. Over the past century, industrialization and the rapid growth of human populations have led to an unprecedented release of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. Since 1990, it is estimated that 420 million hectares of forest have been lost through conversion to other land uses. Although the rate of deforestation has decreased over the past 3 decades, the rate of deforestation currently is estimated at about 10 million hectares per year. The area of primary forest worldwide has decreased by over 80 million hectares since 1990. Trees act as carbon sinks, absorbing CO2 from the atmosphere. However, as forests are cleared for agriculture, urban development, and logging, among other things, this crucial process is disrupted, leading to higher carbon levels and less biodiversity. Leading into my next point, fossil fuels. Carbon dioxide and methane emissions are two of the main ones. The burning of fossil fuels for energy, whether through electricity generation, transportation, or industry, is the leading source of carbon dioxide. CO2 is the most prevalent greenhouse gas, and its concentration in the atmosphere has risen by more than 40% since the pre-industrial era. Fossil fuels are by far the largest contributor to global climate change, accounting for over 75% of global greenhouse gas emissions, nearly 90% of all carbon dioxide emissions. And next I have this video from the Climate Healers that we're going to show to talk about the meat industry.
Ava, your sound is not playing right now.
My sound is not playing.
No,
Okay.
if you can.
Let me see. Is there?
So you're going to have to start share again.
That's on. Yeah, I was trying to see if there was an issue with audio sharing. I don't know. It was working fine earlier.
It did.
Let me just stop me again if this isn't working.
Methane is a greenhouse gas that
It's
causes
working
climate
now.
change.
So start it again.
Is the audio working now?
Yes,
Okay.
it is. Start it again. I'll get off screen and we can pick it up from there.
Okay. All right, excellent. So as I was saying, this is a climate healers video. That's one of my favorites to show about the effects of animal agriculture on climate change.
Methane is a greenhouse gas that causes climate change.
So much is being emitted that life on Earth is collapsing.
Know where most of it comes from? Me. But it's not my fault. It's yours.
There are over 1 billion cows now.
To feed us, you tear down forests to create new grazing land. But we need trees to capture greenhouse gases. The climate disaster is human-made, not cow-made. But you can slow it. You can stop it. You must stop eating meat.
Me too.
A plant-based diet is good for all us animals and the climate. You can make a difference. Transform to a plant-based diet.
I'm just going to reload this tab really quick. It has issues with closing out the video. Okay. All right. Well, I reset my slides. I can just get back to it. Okay. Having a little bit of technological issues here. This will keep working. Okay, almost back caught up to where we were.
The slides are taking a long time to transition to the next one.
I'm going to stop sharing really quick and get back into it.
Okay.
Hopefully that'll work better.
Okay. Sounds good.
I'm not really sure what is happening. Okay.
Well, you're
Maybe it'll
doing
work.
great.
Yes.
You were working through this. You're doing really well.
Me.
Oh, you stopped.
Yep.
It's okay.
I think.
Upload it again, and then I can load it up to the studio.
Share screen. All right. I think I've got it fixed. I moved on to the next slide, so it shouldn't get stuck on the video anymore.
Okay.
I'll just continue. So my last slide is having issues, so I'm just going to continue my point on this slide. Agriculture contributes through methane emissions from livestock and rice paddies, as well as nitrous oxide from fertilizers. Industrial processes, especially in sectors like cement, steel, and chemicals, further add to the problem. We saw our Climate Healers video already, which really portrays the harms of the meat industry. In addition, which was not mentioned in the video, meat production requires gigantic amounts of water, at least 15,500 liters of water, to produce only 1 kilo of beef. In total, meat production demands almost 2,300 trillion tons of water every year, which is 72 million liters a second. So while I'm giving this presentation, there has been ridiculous amounts of water used just for meat production. Our next topic is the culture of consumerism worldwide. The richest 1%, which is 77 million people, were responsible for 16% of global consumption emissions in 2019, more than all car and road transport emissions combined. The richest 10% of our population is accounted for half of all emissions. Another issue with the American culture of consumerism is fast fashion, which is basically producing ridiculous amounts of clothing at a very fast speed in ways that horribly impact our climate. All of those will eventually end up in landfills because it's not good quality. So it takes a lot of resources to produce, and it gets thrown away really quickly, contributing more trash to the planet when we already have so much. Overall, these human-driven actions have altered the Earth's climate system in profound and lasting ways. Effects of climate change. The effects of climate change are already being felt around the world. They threaten to worsen if we do not take urgent action. These effects include global warming. The Earth's average temperature has increased by approximately 1.1 degrees Celsius since the late 19th century. This may seem like a small number, but even this modest rise has had significant impacts on ecosystem and weather patterns. Earth's temperature has risen by an average of 0.14 degrees Fahrenheit per decade since 1880, or about 2 degrees Fahrenheit in total. The rate of warming since 1981 is more than twice as fast, with about 0.32 degrees Fahrenheit per decade. Because of global warming, we have an impact on biodiversity as well. Many species are unable to adapt to rapidly changing climates, leading to habitat loss and extinction. Ecosystems that rely on stable temperatures and seasons, like coral reefs especially, being one of the most delicate organisms, are being decimated, disrupting the balance of life on Earth. As of December 2019, a total of 20,334 tree species had been included in the IUCN Red List of Threatened Species, of which 8,056 were assessed as globally threatened. More than 1,400 tree species are assessed as critically endangered and in urgent need of conservation action. We also have melting ice caps and rising sea levels. As global temperatures rise, polar ice caps and glaciers are melting at alarming rates, contributing to rising sea levels. This threatens coastal communities and low-lying nations, leading to displacement, loss of infrastructure, and devastating economic consequences. Overall, the global average sea level has risen 8 to 9 inches since 1880. In 2022, global average sea levels set a new record high, 4 inches above 1993 levels. This is a huge consequence, especially since a lot of major cities are on the coast. Also, the melting of ice caps threatens the habitats of Arctic and Antarctic organisms, whose habitats are slowly dwindling away, especially polar bears and penguins. Those are two of the most threatened organisms with the current rates of ice cap melting. We also get more extreme weather events as a result of climate change. We are witnessing more frequent and severe storms, floods, wildfires, and droughts. Hurricane season has grown more intense. Wildfires are devastating forests in places like Australia and California, and extreme heat waves are claiming forest lives and livelihoods. As Earth's climate change is impacting extreme weather all across the planet. All of these types of weather phenomena are becoming more and more intense, especially lately. This summer has been hotter than ever. This winter is likely to be freezing. And I don't know about you guys, but we've had some severe storms here lately, including one that took out about half of the tree in our backyard. So we can clearly see the effects of climate change everywhere. We also have risks to humans' health. Climate change also exacerbates health issues. Warmer temperatures increase the spread of diseases like malaria and fevers, particularly in third world countries where they already have reduced protection from these diseases. Well, heat waves can cause heat stroke and respiratory problems for everyone. So now let's talk about some solutions for climate change. While this challenge is daunting, solutions do exist. We must take bold and sustained action to reduce emissions, adapt to changes, and safeguard the planet for future generations. One of the best things you can do for the planet is become whole food plant-based. Now, vegan diets are also mentioned. The main difference is that a vegan diet is simply eating vegetables. Well, a vegan diet is just not eating animal products at all. A whole food plant-based diet is not eating animal products, but you're not just not eating animal products. You're only eating whole foods as minimally processed as possible with lots of like vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and like healthy fats. That's the main difference between whole food plant-based and vegan. While both can be beneficial, whole food plant-based is ultimately the best thing you can do because it involves least processing. Vegan food can still be highly processed. For example, Oreos are technically vegan, but you would not consider them at all a healthy food or a food that's good for the environment since they're so highly processed and full of things that are not only detrimental to your health, but detrimental to our planet. So as far as being vegan, I've been vegan / whole food plant-based for 6 years now, I believe. And it is honestly the best thing you can do, not only for your personal health, but also for the planet and even for animals. Those are the main 3 reasons why people would become whole food plant-based. I've never really had any issues with being whole food plant-based. Like, despite living in a very meat-heavy environment, I've never really had any issues with it. I'm able to bring my own food for school lunches. There's always like food provided for me that I'm able to eat at friends' houses or events or speech competitions even. So I've never really had issues with it. If you think that would be something that's stopping you from transitioning to a whole food plant-based diet, then don't worry about it. It's usually not going to be a problem. Of course, it does help if you can get your whole family on board. I know that must have been an issue for my mom when she initially transitioned, having to get the rest of us on board with her diet choices. But once you have like a support system around you, it is wonderful and it is extremely easy to be whole food plant-based. It's also wonderful to meet other people in the whole food plant-based community. I've been on 2 vegan cruises, and those were some of the best experiences of my life. I got to meet other people who share similar views and interests as me. And of course, some of my best friends are whole food plant-based. I met through so many kids in the kitchen, like Anu, Mia, and Max. It is absolutely the best thing you can do for so many reasons. I could have a whole speech about just why being plant-based is the best thing you could do. This could be my whole hour-long speech, but I should probably wrap it up here. Move on to my next point. The fashion industry is also something I'm passionate about, so it's important for me to talk about sustainability there. As you can see by my statistics, there is a ton of things that go into this. There's about 700 gallons of water used to produce garments yearly. There is a lot of waste as well being produced through all of this. And minimal amounts of things that are being produced for the apparel industry are actually being recycled, which is why it's important to practice sustainable fashion. I try to thrift most of my clothes, or if I can't thrift, then avoid buying from cheap fast fashion places that don't produce their things ethically. There's many other things you can worry about too, like child labor issues, which are extremely prevalent in fast fashion communities. But the main thing for me is just being as ethically responsible for the environment as I can. So trying not to buy a lot of clothes, trying to take care of the things that you do have, and just making sure that everything is produced in a way that's environmentally friendly. Renewable energy is one of the biggest things that will help the environment, and it is absolutely a huge point. The most powerful step we can take is to rapidly reduce our reliance on fossil fuels and shift to renewable energy sources like wind, solar, and hydroelectric power. Innovations in energy storage and grid infrastructure can make these sources more viable and widespread. The main sources, of course, would be solar power, water power, and wind power. In Nebraska, we have a lot of wind turbines, so that is a major source of energy here. Areas near the coast, it might be better to use hydroelectric power or other water power sources. And of course, solar panels. Those are becoming more widespread and prevalent usage. We actually did try to get some for a house, but unfortunately that was denied due to the neighborhood HOA, homeowners association. But if you can, it would be a great idea to get solar panels. They'll not only save you money on your energy bill, they'll save the whole planet by being a cleaner and more reliable source of energy. Right. Activism is also a huge part of climate change. If everyone tried to make a difference, our planet would be so much better off. Greta Thunberg is one of the most prolific climate change activists. I mean, if you don't know who she is, I don't know. Everyone does. And that's because she knows that she is standing up for what she believes in. Public awareness and education about climate change is extremely important. Empowering individuals to take action is critical. By supporting climate education, we can foster a global community that understands the stakes and is motivated to act. Whether through reducing waste, adopting sustainable practices, or demanding climate-conscious policies from governments and corporations, every action counts. We also need some international cooperation. Climate change is a global problem, and it needs a global solution. Agreements such as the Paris Agreement are essential to ensuring that nations work together to limit global warming and provide support for developing countries facing the worst impacts of climate change. Here's some of my references. All of these would be good if you want to learn more about climate change. And then, in conclusion, climate change is a complex and multifaceted challenge, but it is not insurmountable. The causes are rooted in human activity, and the effects are being felt across the world. However, by transitioning to renewable energy, adopting sustainable practices, and working together as a global community, we can mitigate these effects and create a better future for generations to come. The time to act is now. Specifically for my generation, we will be feeling the worst impacts of climate change, as it will be happening through a majority of our lifetimes and long after we are gone. This will impact us the most, so we have the most responsibility and opportunity to do something about it. The decisions we make today will shape the world of tomorrow. Let us choose a future that prioritizes the health of our planet and its inhabitants, a future defined by innovation, collaboration, and resilience. Thank you. And then I will also be having a Q&A session if anyone has any questions.
That was great, Ava. Thank you so much. Let's see. Let's see if we have a comment here. Just someone thanking us for the Climate Healers film. That was a good depiction of the impact that animal farming has without being too graphic or scary, right? Yeah. So that was great. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So we will certainly take questions from anyone who's watching. Just put them in the chat on YouTube or in the comment section on YouTube. And I will ask you a few questions in the meantime, as questions are my thing. All right. So I want to know, I never heard the term fast fashion before. Tell us a little bit more about what is that?
Okay, so fast fashion is defined as, it's usually companies that produce a lot of things very quickly in effort to keep up with the latest trends. These garments are produced very cheaply, full of like microplastics and other horrible things that harm the environment. And they're also sold very cheaply. They're usually made through things like child labor or unethical worker abuse.
Mhm.
So it's overall not a good thing.
Mhm. Can you tell us where we might find something like that? So just in case, like what type of a garment is that? If you were going to describe what that looked like, so that people can have an idea of
I
maybe
don't
what
think
to
it's
avoid.
specifically the type of garment. I think it's where you'd find it. Usually, companies like Shein and Temu are infamous for this sort of thing, having fast fashion. If a shirt is like, I don't even like below what you think it should cost, like maybe under $10 or something, then I would start to be worried about where did this come from? Who's
Mhm.
making this?
Mhm.
If it's cheaper than you think it should reasonably be, then that's a sign that the people who made it are not being paid enough for their labor and that this might be a fast fashion garment.
Interesting. You know, the other thing that you said, well, let me stick with that a minute. Um, I know I have some friends who would never shop in a thrift store. That's just not what they do. Now, I was raised shopping in thrift stores, consignment shops, secondhand stores, whatever you want to call them. But tell our audience a little bit about why you enjoy going to thrift stores. What's the benefit beside keeping things out of the landfill, which is certainly noble enough, but what else do you get out of going to thrift stores?
First of all, it's one of me and my mom's favorite things to do together. It's our favorite place to go shopping. We always find so many interesting things there. I've got a lot of my debate and speech competition suits from thrift stores. You can find beautiful blazers. You can find pants. I found a suit that fit me perfectly and was exactly my size. The prices are as cheap as fast fashion, but the goods that you're getting are so much better quality, longer lasting, and better for the environment because you're reusing clothes that would otherwise be thrown away.
Yeah, yeah, good point. You know, I remember, like I said, I from your age and younger. My mother was a thrift shopper. You know, we did that all the time, and I used to enjoy going with her also. But what I notice now, because I still go to the thrift store or the secondhand store or whatever, the quality of the clothing at the thrift store is also changing
Yeah.
a little bit, right? So now more of the fast fashion that you describe types of clothing are coming into the thrift store. So it takes a little bit more looking
Yeah. It's
to
made
find
quickly and it goes away quickly. Just as quickly as
Yeah.
people buy it and wear it, they soon get tired of it and throw it away and then it goes straight into the thrift store. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with getting fast fashion clothing from the thrift store. Just be aware that it's lower quality. It's not going to last as longer. Like, as long as you're not just throwing it away, it's perfectly fine to pick up something that you might like from the thrift store that could be considered fast fashion, as long as you're not getting it from the source. That's the most harmful
Right.
way to get it.
I see. I see. I also appreciate what you said that a lot of it is basically plastics. There are a lot of polyesters and nylons and acetates and things like that that these clothes are made of that will, even if they when let's say eventually they will land in the landfill eventually.
It'll take a long time to decompose.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
it may never decompose. Some
It may never.
microplastic materials never do.
That's right. Right. So true. I'm looking. No questions from the audience yet. Okay, so question about what you said about the homeowner's restriction
Yeah.
to put up solar panels on your home.
So we live in a neighborhood where there's a very active HOA. There's a lot of rules about like what you can and can't do with your house. We had originally tried to get a permit to put up solar panels, but we were denied on the, I think, I'm not for sure on this, but I believe that the basis was that it would look unsightly or something to other neighbors. It doesn't exactly make sense, but that's what I believe we were told. So
Yeah. Homeowners associations have that kind of reputation and responsibility to determine what's sightly and what's unsightly, right? So two thoughts on that. Like, if that is the motivation for keeping solar panels off somebody's roof.
It doesn't look good. Like, that's not a good sign for our future if the motivation to keep a potential
Thank you.
life-saving source off is just because it looks unsightly. That's not a good sign.
Exactly. So the next thought I have a friend who also lives in a neighborhood where there's a homeowners association. They're not allowed to hang clothes in their yard either. You can't use a clothesline once you know, or even like hang your wet bathing suit over your balcony or whatever. It's not allowed. Another one goes,
Yeah, I believe we're also not allowed to have clotheslines.
yeah, so interesting, right? How is that helpful for the environment? Oh, I have to, even on a beautiful 80-degree, clear, breezy day, I have to use my dryer.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of funny, right?
Yeah.
So, the last thing about homeowners association, just because this is a funny story. So my husband actually has a fair number of friends that like, you know, they like cars,
Mm.
right? Okay. Not my idea of fun, but you know, there are
Yeah.
people in the world that like that. They decided, a group of them, to all move into this one very nice neighborhood that had a homeowners association. And they also decided all to infiltrate the 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 leadership of the homeowner association.
Oh,
And
that's
with
a good
that,
plan.
yes, very clever. And with that, they started changing the rules of what was allowed in their neighborhood. So
Oh,
just a thought, you can start infiltrating. And I know you're
I gotta get in on that, I guess.
right. That's pretty clever. Very clever. They had a whole thing about what color you could paint your house and all kinds of things.
We have that too. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if they'd let a 15-year-old on the HOA board, but I
They
could try.
Yeah, you know, give it a couple years. Or you could get your mom and dad to do it. That would be fun.
Yeah.
That would be quite a story. Could write that one up.
Mhm.
All right, just a couple more questions. Oh, here's a question. You mentioned Greta Thunberg as a young environmentalist. How are some other young activists or organizations what are some other young activists or organizations that inspire you in your work?
Oh, that's really good. Okay. Well, first of all, not technically a young activist organization, but I really love the work of the climate healers. I showed their video earlier. I love their work. They're doing a lot, really. Other young activists. I feel like that's kind of hard. I mean, honestly, there's not as many young activists as there should be. And I feel like we need to see more. I'd say she's my main inspiration, but I would love to see other young activists doing more for our planet,
Mhm.
specifically even in like the whole food plant-based area. I would love to see a lot more whole food plant-based young activists.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. You know, when we think about it, it is your generation that is going to have you're confronted with it, right? You're the one shouldering this burden. Um, is there like a club at your school or anything like that that looks at climate change or environmentalism?
There is not, but being a part of the speech and debate team, a lot of my debate cases usually have climate change as one of the impacts of it. So I see that brought up a lot in debate, and also in speech, a lot of speech topics involve climate change. So it's not specifically a climate change club, but it's mentioned in like my competitive speech and debate teams quite frequently.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah. So in general, what would you say for young people your age? Do they see a connection between food and climate, or that's sort of a little bit of a hazy relationship?
I feel like everyone sees the main connections with climate change, like the fossil fuels, like the farming industry, deforestation, all of that. But there's not enough research out there. People aren't being educated enough about food being the main contributor towards climate change, really. Like there's just not enough out there that's reaching people of my generation. And I think that's a big problem.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Really good.
I think maybe another issue is that it's available, but it's not in things that they'd recognize. Like most of the research is on websites. I don't think a lot of people my age would be on websites. I think the information needs to adapt in a way that they would enjoy. Like a lot of people like to spend time on TikTok. I think it'd be beneficial if we had like TikTok videos about climate change being related to food. It just needs like maybe the information is there, but they're not accessing it because it's not in a way that they'd interact with. I feel like that would help a lot too.
That makes sense. That's really good. So we have another question. Looking ahead, if you could get everyone in the world to do one thing differently to lessen the environmental impact of non-veganism, what would it be?
I mean, obviously it would be to go whole food plant-based, but I'm assuming that's probably not the option compared to this question. As far as one other thing differently, it doesn't even have to be a huge thing. If everyone could just get solar panels, that would do a lot. If everyone would just stop buying fast fashion and start thrifting or buying from better brands instead, that would do a lot. It doesn't have to be one specific thing as long as everyone's doing something to help.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, is there anything else you would like to add? You said a while in one of your slides that you could spend an hour just talking about that one slide, I think.
I really could. I feel like I really could. I needed to tone that down or that would have been a whole presentation.
Well, you could have an extra 5 minutes right now if there's anything else you'd like to say.
Okay. So as far as whole food plant-based being the best thing you can do for the environment, there's so many resources out there. There's so many cookbooks. If like one of the main issues is people being like, I don't know what I'm going to eat. I don't like cooking. I'm not good at cooking. There's plenty of resources out there. I do a cooking show that is aimed at children. Children ages like 7 to 15 or 16 now. If children can cook vegan, you can cook vegan. These are all simple, easy, and healthy and wonderful recipes. If you're looking for more advanced recipes, there's the So Many Cook shows that also have plenty of amazing whole food plant-based, easy recipes. There's so many resources out there. They're available to everyone. Our shows are all free, by the way. They're available on YouTube, Facebook. We have a website with all the recipes. It is all free and available. If you're looking for cookbooks, there's so many cookbooks that you can find that have great whole food plant-based recipes. The main ones I would recommend are the How Not to Die cookbook. I'm terrible with author names, but I just know the names of the cookbooks because I read cookbooks for fun.
All right. That's Michael Greger's book,
Michael Greger, yes, How Not to Die. That is my favorite whole food plant-based cookbook. I love all those recipes. And then also the Forks Over Knives magazines and the Forks Over Knives cookbook. That would probably be like one of my favorites. I read those all the time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there one step that you would recommend a young person take, a kid of any age, one step that you would recommend to get them to move closer to eating more fruits and vegetables and backing off on the kinds of foods that negatively impact our climate?
The best way to get your kids to eat more fruits and vegetables is to involve them in the cooking process. They don't want to eat something if they don't know what's in it, if they haven't helped with it. If you say, hey, I have an idea, let's make a meal together. Then you put out whole, healthy fruits and vegetables, whole grains, and have them cook with that. They're going to enjoy it a lot more. And if it's something they cooked, they'll be more open to trying it. They'll be more excited about it. There's so many cookbooks proving this. Kids want to cook. Kids want to be in the kitchen. That is how you get them to eat healthy foods. Let them cook.
Brilliant. Love that. I think every person, every presenter we've had thus far has said something about like that kids are motivated by growing food in a garden and cooking the food themselves in the kitchen, being involved in the process and not just like left out, oh, go sit over there and play your video game or do something else. while the adults do all the cooking and then just lay it on the table. That's certainly one way to do it. But to get a child to be interested in changing their diet, changing their palate, trying new things, one of the best ways definitely is get them involved in the process.
Even shown
Wonderful.
me, like, my little sisters, like they love cooking. My littlest sister Nora, she's 8. She always wants to make lasagna. She is so excited about lasagna. She's like, Mom, can we make lasagna tonight? She loves to put it together. She loves to like stack the noodles and everything. She just loves it. It's so much fun for her. Cooking is one of her favorite things to do, especially lasagna.
Every night. We want lasagna every night.
She does. At least like twice a week she asks, Mom, can we make lasagna tonight?
That's so funny. We have another question. Are you growing fruits and vegetables with your mom? Or what does grocery shopping look like for you guys?
So we don't currently have a fruits and vegetables garden growing. We have had that at times. We're hoping to get like a bigger garden set up in our backyard soon, hopefully over the summer. And then we can start doing that more on our own. We do grow our own herbs in like little pots indoors, and we use those for a lot of cooking. As far as grocery shopping, that's another me and my mom bonding activity thing. Generally, we make a big grocery list, we split it up, and then go around the store trying to get everything. As far as grocery shopping, it's a lot of like fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and legumes. And there's a lot of like brands that we use that have very unprocessed foods. They're good. I would recommend like Dave's Killer Bread. That's a great whole grain bread brand. We love their bread, bagels, whole grain, lots of seeds, and it's really good too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then just like soy milk, like the vegan staples, soy milk, tofu, all that.
Great. Well, I'm going to wrap this up for right now. We'll take about a 10-ish minute break. Maybe that's more like 13 minutes. And then we'll pop over to the Zoom room. For anybody who has that link, we'll meet you over there. I also want to remind people, well, before I go off in that direction, thank Ava so much. Thank you for being here and doing this presentation. You did an excellent job. You worked through the tech glitches, which are, you know, every person thus far has had some kind of a tech glitch. So fear not, you're not alone. You're in very good company with that. Just an excellent presentation.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I am so honored that I've been invited to be here. This is like something I love doing. It's something I'm really excited to do, and I'm so thankful for this opportunity.
Well, we can tell you're passionate about it and very well studied. Great, great presentation. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, I'm going to talk now just a little bit about what happens if you would like to get these recordings for future use. We have an option to upgrade from the free activity that we're engaged in here. Hold on, I need to get over to my notes. So this summit obviously is free. We want as many people to get this information as possible, and that's what we're doing here today. But we also have the opportunity, if you want to have this information for the rest of your life, if you want to be able to refer back to it, get more information, look at these videos anytime, you can upgrade to the VIP membership. That has lots of other things included in it. Not only would you get the lifetime access to the recordings, you also get access to these VIP sessions, which happen after what's being shown on YouTube. We pop over to the Zoom room and we have more personal and intimate conversations with each presenter, as well as there are lots of bonus gifts that each presenter has provided. So, for example, the video that we just watched about the impact of animal agriculture on the environment, That is created by a group called Climate Healers that Ava was talking about, which is led by Dr. Silas Rao. He will be speaking with us at 2 o'clock today, 2 o'clock Central Time. His gift for the VIP bonus pack is his book, The Pinky Promise, which is all about how that organization started, Climate Healers, and what is the Pinky Promise. He'll be telling us about that. We also have some infographics and recipes. Last night we had a great 3 or 4 recipe demo by Lee Crosby, who's a registered dietitian. She provided the recipe for the chili, the recipe for her copycat Hidden Valley Ranch dressing, tofu nuggets, and a green monster smoothie. We have a video that Ava and I did earlier a couple weeks ago in there also. We also have some great stuff from Deepa Deshmukh, another registered dietitian. She gave us information on making smart swaps. We have recipes by Danielle Medina. We've got information about teaching kids and parents about healthy eating, watermelon fruit pasta recipes. There's so much in here, so much. So if you're interested in having access to this information, the recordings, as well as the bonus pack, you are invited to upgrade your membership or your access. That is a $47 upgrade, and you go to the website, I believe. You click, there's the link scrolling across the bottom for how you can upgrade. The $47, let me just say, does not go to pay my salary. It doesn't go to pay those kind of bills. It goes to keeping our nonprofit afloat, as well as the work that we do involves going into schools, training and working with school food service professionals to teach them how to bring more fruits and vegetables into schools. Right now, we have been working in the past year, we've been working in collaboration with a group called balanced.org. They are a nonprofit that focuses on bringing more fiber into institutional organizations. We specifically are working with them on school food. We've been working in Illinois this past year because Illinois changed their school food law so that a child who requests a plant-based lunch can get one provided by the school at no extra cost. That takes a little bit of training of school food service people. It takes connecting them with good quality, appropriate resources, connecting them with resources that actually have things that are already stamped child nutrition appropriate by the USDA. It takes marketing. It takes putting posters up in cafeterias and in school hallways. So these are the things that we've been working on for the past year. We also have been able to provide a couple, like 8 schools, literally, with micro grants, so that they have some of the resources to do this work and feel motivated to do it. So your $47 upgrade literally goes to that work so that we can continue to move this message forward about the importance of fruits, vegetables, nuts and seeds, whole grains, legumes, and mushrooms in our children's diet. So that's what that's about. We have about 5 minutes before we will pop over to the Zoom room. I'm going to take a bio break, and I will catch you over there in about 5 minutes if you have that link. If not, we will see you this afternoon at 2 o'clock Central Time, where we will speak with Dr. Silas Rao all about the Pinky Promise. So thanks so much, you guys, for being here this morning, and we will see you shortly.